be. That's what give me some of that. So without further ado, please stand on your feet and welcome the First Lady of Unity of Sacramento, Anita Ross.
Start by saying I love you all so much. Oh my goodness, I love this community so much. And Rashad, oh my God, I love you so much. Chet, I love you so much. Chakra, I love you as individuals and as the collective of Chakra. I just hope you know that I never take any of you for granted. I love you all, for real. All right, so I'm here to talk about teaching and preaching on what love looks like in public. I get to kick off this Courage to Shine speaker series. Yes, I'm so excited about that. There's no coincidences. I mean, the way that you all have showed up for my family with Rev Kev's departure to Harvard has been just overwhelmingly the experience of love. And he literally texted me this morning. He's like, make sure you let them know I'm so grateful. And so I'm letting you know that he's grateful, and we are all so grateful for the overflow. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause. So I want to start by sharing Psalms 31:24, and it says, "Be strong and let your heart take courage." Be strong and let your heart take courage. Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Word describes courage as a spiritual quality that enables one to remain poised and centered in God amidst great difficulties and danger. And I would add to that, and change. Right? Charles Fillmore says in the Revealing Word that courage is the spiritual quality that enables one to remain poised and centered in God amidst great difficulties, danger, and change. So if we insert that definition into Psalms 31:24, it says, "Be strong and let your heart take on the spiritual quality that enables us to remain poised and centered in God." For years, I had this being strong thing all wrong. I thought strength meant to be unfazed by difficulties. I thought it meant to push forward anyway and to achieve results no matter what. I thought that strength showed up as tough. It often felt emotionless and was duty more than an opportunity. Many of you who have heard me speak or done the workshops with me know that I have been through a lot in my life, from navigating all the societal pressures of growing up as a young Latina girl, the trials of being in a male-dominated industry of engineering, and the roller coaster of unhealthy relationships. I was doing my best to be unfazed, to push forward, and to achieve results anyway. It was what I had learned. That's what the world showed me. I mean, I was constantly getting messages, go out there and just be strong, right? I remember a particular incident that has stayed with me since I was very young. I used to sneak candy out of my grandpa's candy jar. It was a covert operation, and I was very courageous to do so. But one day, I distinctly remember getting caught red-handed, and he was like, "Another candy? What are you doing? Another candy?" Many of you know that this is real. It stayed with me through life. But just the tone of his voice, I just remember tears springing from my eyes in the moment, on demand. And as he was moving the candy jar to shut down my covert operation altogether, these next words came out of his mouth, and this stuck with me as well. "Oh, gosh, don't be such a crybaby." Now, love my grandpa. My grandpa is amazing, and he loves me so much, and he certainly did not mean to have this impact on me. He's just a New Yorker, and we tend to have a little edge about us. But it was the most distinct early memory I had of learning how to hide my feelings. And whether it was being teased by peers in school or being rejected by a boy I liked, getting fired from my first job because I was too Latina, or living with domestic violence, I learned that masking the pain was easier than actually processing it, and that it was more socially acceptable. Because I'd consistently hear things like, crying shows your weakness, crying makes you weak, or asking for help or support means you're weak. And I gotta tell you that all helped me build a tremendous, very strong wall, a wall of defense that kept me thinking I was safe. And I gotta tell you, it was exhausting. It was harmful, and it was flat out inauthentic. Most definitely, that definition and living by that definition of strength took me on many tangents away from my best life. Yeah? You see, I was denying a form of self-expression that you all know is very real for me. Let's go ahead and say it. I am a crier, okay? And I'm not afraid to do it in public, right? I'm sure that if I asked by a show of hands, how many of you have passed me a tissue in a service, there would be a lot of you. But what I've also had was conversations of people who said, you know, when I saw you cry, I felt more free to be myself. I've had those over the years, plenty of them. And crying is a way I express my emotions. It is a way that I release my emotions. It's how I show my emotions. But if I'm keeping it real, it's authentic for me, and it keeps me authentic. You ever hear, hold those tears in, hold those tears in. Don't let them see how you feel. It's a form of release. It keeps me authentic. And some people say, okay, it feels vulnerable at times. Yes, it does. In certain instances, in certain environments, it might feel uncomfortable. But I tend to say that's a really good thing. The reason being is that outside of our comfort zone is where the magic happens. When we express our authentic self, it is love in action. You see, by me crying, if somebody else experiences some freedom, even if in that moment, that's the transfer of love. I didn't go over to them and say, hey, feel free. They witnessed me express myself, felt freedom, love in action. Isn't that powerful? Now, here's the cool thing. Love will always show up in a situation when we have the courage to be authentic. I'm going to give you 100% guaranteed distinction. Y'all ready? Write this down if there's one thing you're going to write down today. When we are poised and centered in God, we are love. When we are poised and centered in God, we are love. Another way of putting that is when we are showing up authentically, we are love. At that core of who we are, that divine self. Now, the human experience will take you on some tangents, will take you out of this innate nature, I can tell you that. We're going to have our emotions. There are going to be days that we feel sad, mad, scared. I was facilitating a leadership retreat on Friday, and it was for a group of medical directors. I was talking to my mom about this. She's like, she's in the medical field, she was. She's like, oh, you're about to go in? Yeah, I'm about to go in there. And it wasn't your typical strategic planning. It wasn't, mission, vision, and personality assessment. When I was sitting down with the chief medical officer and we were talking about this, I said, look, I don't do, that's not me. Like, I don't know how to not do deep. And luckily, she was really open for something new. That's what she was looking for. So, as we were deep into self-discovery and sharing our feelings, no, that's how I roll. But people were sharing, and one woman was sharing how passionate she is about what she does and the clients that they serve. They serve, all clients are 100% of their clients are under the poverty line, and many of them are unsheltered. And she's going on, I just love what I do, this, that. And then she's paused, and she's like, but wait a minute, let me just say, there are days that I hate my job. And yeah, they're on the front lines. I would imagine that through the pandemic and definitely post-pandemic, this has been challenging. And there are going to be days that there's strong emotion. So everybody could relate. Everybody in the room was like, yeah. Right? But then we shifted the conversation to, well, like, how do we get ourselves back realigned with ourselves? How do we get ourselves realigned back to our authentic self so that we're not, like, screaming at a patient or going off on a medical assistant or anybody else on their team? We are coming from a place of love. How do we do that? So we talked about it. Everybody talked about what they do, their self-care. It was amazing. Because again, when we're acting out of the human experience, that's possible to pop off, right? But when we operate from that guarantee, love will prevail. It's powerful. It's powerful. And let me be clear, because love can look like a lot of different ways, okay? It can look like hugs and kisses, right? We're hugging community here. Hugs and kisses, but it can also look like the swift kick in the keister that somebody could really use. And as a life coach, that's what I do often. But in the love context, the context of love, right? Because we see the vision for them, right? It can look like having a tough talk with someone, but we know that there's something that we're going to share that serves them. It's not just a random opinion or a thought. It's feedback. Like, I'm going to support them, and I'm going to just get myself together to have that conversation. That's love. That's love. It can look like the end of a relationship that you actually enjoy having in your life, but it's unhealthy. So there might be some pain, and you might process your emotions, but it's still love. Looks and feels different. Protesting in the streets, right? Protesting in the streets. It feels tough. It feels like a fight. But what are they standing for? To be seen. That's love. So love does look many different ways. But here's what I know that I know that I know. Having the courage to be yourself transforms lives. It is an absolution because love transforms lives. So whether you see it unfold right there in front of you or it happens in a different place or time, you can rest assured that love will prevail. Rest assured. Because where do we go in our mind? Did I do it right? Did I get it right? Did I say the right words? If love was the context, you can walk away and say, I did the thing. And at some point, whether you witnessed it right in front of you or down the line, love will prevail. I remember when I was doing the Meantime Love retreats in person here, and I have a process where if you graduate from the 2 retreats that I do, which are based on those 2 books that Ravi shared about, then you can staff the retreat. You can come back and support the new team of participants. And so one of the women on the team was a clinical therapist, and she had brought a couple people there, one of which was like a client of hers. And she was really like excited for this young woman to have her breakthrough, right? So I was like, okay, so on the sidelines, outside of the actual part of the retreat, the staff and I meet and we talk about what are you seeing, how are you feeling, what are you learning about yourself? They have their own track, right? So we're talking. She's like, well, I'm waiting for this breakthrough. I'm like, of who? this person. I said, okay, what's going on for you? She's like, well, I want to make sure that I'm not emotional in front of her. That's not how the clinical therapy relationship is. I was like, this is not the clinical therapy session. This is Anita Ross, Meantime Love, like the space is love. She's like, okay. I was like, if it comes up, it comes up. Access the courage and go for it. That's how we talk as we coaching in there. And later on, she ended up having a great show of emotion and was able to witness this person have their breakthrough. And I just hold on to that because that is, when we're holding back, what transformation are we hindering by holding ourselves back, right? The other day I was eating lunch with a colleague and ended up turning into some life coaching. She's like, well, how do you know all this stuff? And how is it just like emanating off of you? And I was like, well, ever since I had that dark night of my soul, I've been building this authenticity muscle. I've been leaning in to this fact, this truth that I am divine, that I was born worthy and that never changes, and that it's okay to be me. Now, leaning in means I did it a lot. I had to access courage a lot just to bring myself into all the different areas. Leaving engineering with a nice cushy pay to do this thing called empowering people to love themselves and building my own path to do that and build revenue, it's hard. But I know it's mine to do. So from the infancy of my journey to building that muscle to where I am today, I don't know how not to be me. don't know how. So the top question I get being married to Rev Kev is, how is it being a first lady? And then they inevitably say something like, it must be hard. They answer their own question. I'm like, well, it's not hard. Some days it's definitely work. And I would say inner work, yeah? Because I've heard how I should dress. I heard how I should serve. I've heard what I should do and how I should behave. It's been a long few years here, so I've heard about myself before. But I only know how to be me. And it's love for myself and honoring myself, but it's also love for you all and honoring you all, because y'all don't want me in a place I don't want to be. It's no fun. I'm not this person that I am right now, right? I just want to be crystal clear and let you know, and that's how I've chosen to be from day one here, right? And I believe I'm part of this whole love fest that Unity of Sacramento is. So let me just say one thing, and I was talking to Deb about this earlier. Many of you know I'm very food-driven. I am food-driven. Y'all know it. And the people in my past, I remember being in corporate America, and people would want me to do like these massive analysis, and I was really good at it. And they'd be like, how many cookies do I got to bake? Or I would find, like there was a really good bakery when I was living in Florida, and I would see it on my desk, the bag with the cookies in it. Like, can you do? So I will say this. It's catching up with me, y'all. Because the last couple gifts I got, I think, were like 5-pound gummy bear bags. And, like, the last thing was cookies and cupcakes. I love y'all, but, ooh, I might have to shift the narrative. But I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that you all see me. And that's just yet another way that it shows up. But here's the thing, I'm not going to be for everyone. Not everyone is going to resonate with me. And that is okay. They're not comfortable with my level of self-acceptance. They're not comfortable with my authenticity, and that's okay. Then we're not meant to be together, right? And it's okay because I fall on that 100% guarantee that when we are poised and centered in God, we are love. And when I don't get it right, I dust myself off, I go do my work, I try to get the lesson, and then I do my best next time. That's a guarantee from me. So there it is. We are not going to be for everybody. Unity of Sacramento is a spiritual community of love bugs. We are huggers. When people come in, they can't help but feel the love. Give it up for the ushers once again, because they are their first point of contact when they walk in this building. But it's not going to be for everyone. Some people are not comfortable with that level of love, receiving it. And those of you who aren't comfortable, the non-huggers that do stay, we see you, we respect you, we love you just as much. Yeah? I hear the giggles because y'all know who I'm talking about. All right. That's my squad over there. So I love you too. So I'm going to give you 3 steps for showing up as love wherever you go. The first one is be confident in it. What is confidence? Confidence is, or comes from, the repetition of accessing courage. Remember when I talked about, like, it took a lot of times to access courage to be myself here and in this space and that space to get to the level of comfort of walking in with some medical directors and the chief and be me? One of the things that they said at the end, or the feedback for me, was this was the most refreshing. It was unscripted, and we were just hoping, I know, no personality assessment, right? But it took years of doing the work and accessing the courage to get to the point of confidence. Does that make sense? So be confident in it. Next one is don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Dust yourself off, do the work, and go do your best again. Right? If we operate with that guarantee and we are clear that we were coming from love, then you can rest assured. Love will prevail. So at the end of that retreat on Friday, the chief medical officer says, hey, can we talk? We were at a reception. She pulls me aside. She says, before you leave, because my son was calling me, like, when are you coming home, Mommy? Like, dang, it's just been one day. She says, can we process how today went? I want to get your feedback. And I said, sure. She's like, okay, how did it go? I said, it went great. It went great. The fact that after I handed it back over to you everybody was excited and talking and this jubilance. And I said, that's my results. That's our results. I can look back and say, I did my thing. She's like, okay. I said, now. She goes, what about blah, blah, blah? I said, well, he was my gauge. He was my person that I was looking out for, that if he shared, I was really rolling. He chose not to share the whole time. And he was like, no, I will not share. So she's like, oh, so you kind of got it? I was like, yeah. She's like, because he had contacted me before and said, this is not really my thing. She's like, I pondered whether I could give you a heads up on that. Like, no, I'm kind of glad you didn't, because he was my gauge. And she didn't understand. She's like, because I didn't understand. Like, if he hadn't told me that, I would have been like, what's going on with him? I said, but did you notice he was the first one to share after I handed it over to you, who he's used to working with and who he definitely appreciates. And he just, oh my God, he just said the kindest things about her leadership. And I'm her friend, so I'm looking like, oh, just take it all in, take it all in. And she was almost in tears when I made that distinction for her. She's like, now I get it. I said, and you'll probably find they're going to have some more revelations about themselves, so just be open. And the other one was, I said, well, didn't you hear one of the OGs, been there 40 years. She's only been there 5. So he's like pretty tough. And he's like, so can we do this twice a year? And she was like floored. I said, what? So don't take it personal. Use the principle, and you can walk away confidently that love will prevail. And then my last step is look for the love in it. Sniff out the love. There is your gift. Those are your results. Those are those extraordinary moments that if you get caught up in the emotions, if you get caught up in the wall or the perception, the pressure, then we will miss it. We'll miss those moments. Yeah. So we're going to go deeper into those things and those aspects in the workshop afterwards. I hope that you join me. Yesterday, as I was driving my husband to the airport, and as we got closer and closer, he held my hand. So you could see the signs that said, I don't know, Chet, you can start taking. I learned that from you all. So he takes my hand, and we're seeing the signs that say airport. And as we see one sign after the next, he's holding my hand, and I could feel it, and I'm like, okay, so if I look over, I'm going to fall apart. And I have one job. I got to get him, and my daughter was in the back. I got to get them safely to the airport, right? And then I heard the sobbing. And I looked over, and it's like, I don't see him cry a lot. You know, he's always thinking ahead, and who do we get to be? And I look over, and of course I start crying, right? And as I go to the airport, and I park right where he's going to take off his lots of baggage. He had a trunk that was burgundy with a Harvard sign on it. He's so extra. And so then he holds me, and I could feel this transfer of love. Sometimes him and I were so busy doing all these things that we're up to in the world. The transfer of love was real, it was palpable. My daughter's in the back like, I don't know what to do. And we couldn't even muster up words. It was like, I love you. I got this. I got you. And I just want you all to know it is reciprocal. We've been doing this back and forth for each other for years. So this is not me supporting his dream, just me. He has done the same for me. It is reciprocal. I need you all to know that. And so, as I've told more and more people, got him off on his way. He's there. He arrived late last night. But as I tell more and more people, you know, my husband's moving for a long time to go to Harvard, they inevitably say something like, wow, that's going to be hard. I said, not hard. I'm going to do my work. And it might take some inner work, right? But I can truly say that I've got an extraordinary village of people who love me as I am, and you all aren't afraid to show it. We got this as long as we let love lead the way. Thank you. I love you all. We got this.